Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. It's good to see you. Glad you're here, and it's a beautiful day out here. I hope it's a beautiful and great day wherever you are, whatever the time of day it is for you, whatever time in the future, or maybe even the past. But it's Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, and you know what that means. It's time to do the Tao now. Tuesday Tao, we're reading from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. And really the reason we've been doing this and reading the Wisdom of the Ages on Wednesday is because we're trying to learn philosophies and ideas and great wisdom of the ages and wisdom of the Tao and just wisdom in general so that we can increase the quality of our lives. Because, when you begin to change the way you think about things, the things you experience begin to change. Each moment is your life. I know it sounds kind of weird. You're like, my life is a big long thing, or however long it is, but each moment is all we have while we're living it. So if we fill our moments up with lesser quality things, lesser quality ways of thinking, then the quality of each moment will be lesser, and therefore the quality of our entire life will be lesser. So if we can do the opposite, if we can switch the quality of our life by switching the quality of each moment as we go through it with a greater awareness, a greater understanding of psychology, philosophy, mysticism, spirituality, whatever it be, great wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to increase the quality of our lives, not only for ourselves, but because we impact other people when we live our lives. And so if we can increase the quality of our lives and our expression during our life, then we can also impact the quality of the lives of people around us. And in the future, and in time, hopefully increase the quality of everyone's life. But today, we're looking at the 36th verse of the Tao Te Ching. Wayne Dyer titles his chapter here as extrapolation on this 36th verse of the Tao, Living in Obscurity. Obscurity. What comes to mind to you when it's said? What comes to mind to you when you think of the word obscurity? To me, it's like being alone or being hidden, or not being so out there, so not so well known. But it's fascinating the way that Wayne Dyer always takes these things, because I can never expect it. And I don't pre-read these because I love to have a genuine reaction. And so let's dive right in to the 36th verse of the Tao Te Ching, ladies and gentlemen. 36th verse. Should you want to contain something, you must deliberately let it expand. Should you want to weaken something, you must deliberately let it grow strong. Should you want to eliminate something, you must deliberately allow it to flourish. Should you want to take something away, you must deliberately grant it access. The lesson here is called the wisdom of obscurity. The gentle outlasts the strong. The obscure outlasts the obvious. Fish cannot leave deep waters, and a country's weapons should not be displayed. That is the 36th verse of the Tao Te Ching, and it's a powerful one. I'm a big fan of paradoxes. If you've watched my channel before, you know that the idea of a paradox and the great lessons that come from paradoxes are just amazing. And if you're thinking to yourself, what in the chase, what's a paradox? Well, the top bit of this, the first bit of this, to where it's explaining opposites here. If you want to contain something, you have to let it expand. The mind goes, what? That's the opposite. That's a paradox. And I just loved that first bit, that, the opposites there. If you want to weaken something, you let it grow strong. And it's like, why? It's like, why would letting something grow strong weaken it? And these are where the great lessons are learned. And so let's dive right into where Wayne Dyer begins with his chapter and extrapolation on living in obscurity. He begins by saying, a large part of your growing up life lessons revolved around the words, notice me. You were taught that the more attention you receive, particularly for being a good little person, the more status and approval you'd get from your peers. And think to yourself how much we all get addicted to that cycle of status and approval, and then behaving in a way that gains us more status and approval. And sometimes we go in a direction of our life because of this cycle and because of this, societal structure that we all grow up in, at least speaking for myself here in the West. It's like we sometimes go the wrong direction in our lives, or the direction that we wouldn't really want to go. That's not our purpose, or, what it is we would find the most passion and contentment and, whatever the word is, when you feel, you get something out of what it is that you're doing. And so the more status and approval you get from your peers, as well as the adults you knew, Wayne Dyer says, become number one, you were told. Earn that gold star. Win that championship. Get the best grades. Become a valedictorian. Attain that lettered sweater. Gather up trophies, and so on. Such lessons were all about rising to the top of the crowd and evaluating ourselves, yourself, based on how we or you stacked up competitively with everyone else around us. When you change the way you think about your place in the great scheme of things, now this is key here, you'll discover that the wisdom of obscurity allows you to eliminate competition from your life and retreat into quiet strength. So it's not like you give up by eliminating this idea of, having to be the best, or having to get ahead, or having to get the approval or the status, or, whatever it be. It's like the wisdom of obscurity allows you to eliminate it from your life and retreat. So you're not giving up, but instead you're moving to a place of quiet strength, because you no longer need those things to feel great. Now, I'll continue here with what Wayne Dyer is saying. Such lessons, nope, wrong spot. But it's fascinating if you can change the way you think about things, it really changes life. And it's in this part here, the quiet strength that you get when you change your viewpoint about competition, having to be the best. So Wayne Dyer continues by saying, in other words, Lao-tzu is asking us, from his 2,500-year-old perspective, to take it easy and base your view on an entirely new criteria. As you do, Wayne Dyer says, your world will begin to reflect a gentle, low-key soul who outlasts those who measure their strength by how much status they have compared to their peers. This verse opens with the idea of understanding the dichotomous, which means the separation. A dichotomy is a splitting or a separation of things. And so, or maybe an opposite. The dichotomous nature. So this verse is, that's what I was getting at, all those paradoxes there in the beginning of the 36th verse. It's like the opposite nature, this paradoxical or dichotomous nature of the material world, and then encourages us to become an astute observer of our life. Feeling belittled means you must know what it's like to be important. See? So if you can let go of the wanting to be important or wanting to have the status, the opposite effects, the negative effects, go away as well. So when you stop trying to win, there is no problem with losing. And in fact, if you're learning while losing, then there really is no failure. That's also one of the things I love when it comes to learning wisdom. It's like there's no such thing as failure as long as you're learning. And so it's fascinating. The idea of being weak grows out of having known what it's like to feel strong. And that doesn't mean feeling strong is bad. It's just like this, when we create these, positive goals, and we're maybe not so positive, when we create these status qualified goals that we think are positive, like, oh, I want to be strong, or I want to be the winner, or whatever. When we alleviate ourselves of those, of striving after those kind of ego-driven things to be better and, to get ahead and all these things, it's like the opposite, the negativity of not getting ahead or not being the best is eliminated as well. And at that place, there's great peace. Like, oh, I don't have to be the best. And actually, I'm exactly where I should be. So maybe in that sense, I am the best in my own right. Just another way, but there's great peace that comes with relieving. Now, sorry, I'm rambling a bit today. The idea of being weak grows out of having known what it's like to feel strong. So as one translation of the Tao Te Ching, the way of life, according to Lao-tzu, translated by Witter Bynner, reminds us, he who feels punctured must have once been a bubble. He who feels unharmed, or he who feels unarmed must have once carried arms. He who feels deprived must have had privilege. Avoid the pitfalls of feeling weak, unimportant, stressed, or fearful by transcending the thinking that got you there in the first place. That's a powerful sentence. We can avoid the pitfalls of feeling weak, unimportant, stressed, or fearful by changing the way, by transcending, by going beyond the thinking that got us into these positions in the first place. Keep in mind that if you feel weak, you must have had the opposite perception of being strong at least once. So see how these, if you have this perception, then the opposite becomes possible. This might be a little deep and a little confusing. And if it is, then that's a good thing, because that's where great wisdom comes out of, when you're really pondering and meditating and contemplating these kind of things. By becoming independent of the need to compare yourself and fit in, you choose the path that Lao-tzu calls the wisdom of obscurity. That is, you release your need to be more anything in the eyes of others. And remember, that's a great teaching from Abraham Maslow, sorry, easy for me to say. But, about the criteria of becoming a self-actualizing individual. And, one of the great ones is becoming independent of the good opinion of other people. Like, you don't need their approval to be who you are. You don't need the status. And so, it's like you release your need to be more of anything in the eyes of other people. Lao-tzu concludes this elegant verse with the metaphor of fish leaving the deep water. When they try to examine the surface and see the big world, quote unquote, beyond those depths of the water, the little guys no longer endure because they are captured by a net, quote unquote. Hence, you find the great lesson of this 36th verse. Stay under the radar. And see, that's kind of what I was thinking about when I asked in the beginning, what comes to mind when you think of obscurity? It's like staying under the radar. And Wayne Dyer says, and Lao-tzu is getting at, you will outlast all who strive to be recognized. When you shift to this viewpoint, your desire for obscurity will surpass your need to be seen as strong and above everyone else, and you won't end up all alone in your trophy room. Fascinating. Here's what Lao-tzu offers you from 25 centuries ago when he dictated this enduring tome of wisdom. And this is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, you want to get this book for yourself and put it on your own bookshelf, because everybody needs a bookshelf for themselves, for reference material to create a better life. I'm like, you would think that would be important. Like, oh, what is it that I can do? Even if it's not too hard, maybe just glance at a few pages every now and then to increase the quality of my life. It's almost like people, I don't know, I keep thinking to myself, like, why isn't this the biggest thing everybody's like obsessed with, is making life better? You would think, I don't know, it's one of my things. But the reason you want this, ladies and gentlemen, for yourself on your shelf for reference is because at the end of each of these verses, and this one was a short one, but we still got a page and a half, so don't worry. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. This is just getting better, because Wayne Dyer gives us a way that we can apply this to our life. And he tells us what's being offered to us from himself and from Lao-tzu. And so he begins here, number 1, with strive to know oneness by seeking awareness of opposites. Before I go into that, I have this book linked in the description below. If you expand it, there's a link to this book and you can get it for yourself. So strive to know oneness by seeking awareness of opposites. See, that could be a paradox in itself. Like, the mind's like, if everything is opposite, then how is there oneness? Those are the right questions. Make every effort, Wayne Dyer begins, to stay in a state of oneness in your mind, connectedness to all things. For example, if you're tired, remind yourself that you know what being rested is like. Recognize the opposing feeling so that you can know both of them simultaneously, because they are one. You cannot have dark without light. You cannot have tired without rested. And, so it's the paradoxical unity of duality, the paradoxical oneness of, two-ness, if that makes sense. Like the yin and the yang symbol. There are these opposites that flow together to be one thing. And so recognize the opposing feelings so that you can know both of them simultaneously. Do this with any sensation. If you're depressed, weak, jealous, unloved, anything, the antithesis or the opposites of these, of what you're going through, is within your experiential framework. Because, see, ladies and gentlemen, this is the great point. You wouldn't know depressed if you didn't know the opposite. You wouldn't know weak if you didn't know the opposite. You wouldn't know what jealous is if you didn't know the opposite, and so on, especially with loved. You wouldn't know what it feels like to be unloved unless you felt loved. And, if you never felt either of them, then it wouldn't really matter anyways. You'd be like, I'm just, I'm neutral here. And that's kind of where we want to get to, where we're not, to where we're not dragged down by these kind of things. And so we can know, and when you are feeling these negative things, you can take comfort in the fact that you know that you have experienced the opposite in order to know what it is that you're going through. Seek the opposite feeling right in the moment, Wayne Dyer continues, and be at one with it in your mind. For this will provide you with a balanced sense of being at peace within yourself. This is oneness, he says, wherein you entertain extremes, but at the same time use your mind to be in between the extremes, like the Tao, which never divides anything. How can oneness be broken apart? It would no longer exist if you could split it up. So here's number 2, withdraw yourself and allow others. Monitor your inclinations to compare yourself to others or to stay within the system, quote unquote. A system is designed to get you to behave in a certain way, just like everyone else, as it contrives to make comparisons determine your success or happiness. And see, that's one of the big struggles for most people in life, is this all this comparing yourself to other people. Like, I could compare myself all day to other people that do this kind of stuff and be totally miserable and upset because, oh, I don't feel like, or I don't think that I'm, as good or good enough or better. And it's a process that you got to go through that takes time to release those kind of feelings and get to the place of peace where you're no longer comparing and you're just on purpose. And that's one of the other things about becoming a manifestor, a self-actualizing individual, as Maslow or Dr. Dyer put it, is it's like you become unattached from the outcome. Like, you're not obsessed with the results of what it is you're doing, rather you're just on purpose and the results take care of themselves. Whew, so good. I love these. And so if you're getting value, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe and share this with somebody who you think could get value from it. And so withdraw yourself and allow others. It's like getting away from this system in our inclinations, our subconscious, our mind wanting to compare us to other people. And it's like we have to practice to get rid of that, because success and comparisons are not the same. Comparisons and how we are compared to everybody else is not what creates our level of success or happiness. That's our own internal process. And so I guess you could say, comparing ourselves to others creates the opposite of our own internal success or happiness. Wayne Dyer continues by saying, the Tao Te Ching urges you to seek obscurity. Draw little or no attention to yourself and don't ask to be recognized. Instead, allow. Just allow. It's like letting go. Just release, allow, even though you're doing what it is you're doing on purpose. But there's an allowing. It's like you're not attached, even though I'm rambling a lot today. I hope you're getting value, ladies and gentlemen. Smash the like button, leave me a comment, and let me know what you think. Let other people flourish, Wayne Dyer continues. Waxing on about their strength and popularity, Lao-tzu says, you must deliberately grant others the right to expand. But take your own lesson from the fish that endure and stay in the deep waters of your Tao-directed soul. And at the end of every one of these, the last little bit is called Do the Tao Now, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, it's another way that we can apply this great wisdom of the Tao from Lao-tzu and Dr. Wayne Dyer and put it into work practically in our life. And so the recommendation today from this 36th verse about obscurity, still not sure what I'm going to title this one. This one's really fascinating. Do the Tao now. He says, give yourself an assignment to be as much in the background as you can for an entire day. Stifle inclinations to compare yourself to anyone else or to draw attention to yourself. You can accomplish this by making a commitment to be interested in others today. Substituting the pronoun I for you. So instead of saying, I did this kind of work for years, let me tell you, or I did this kind of work for years, let me tell you how you should proceed. Remark, you seem to be doing so well with your new business. Or, whatever it is that you're talking about with whoever it is that you're talking with. In the language of the Tao, Wayne Dyer says, stay soft and gentle, and you will endure. Boom, ladies and gentlemen. That's a boom to knowledge. It's beautiful. The next one's called living in simplicity. And see, these are the kind of subjects and topics that I really love getting into. This one we just went through was something I could contemplate on for a very long time. I'm like, I don't even know what would you call this? It's just incredible, ladies and gentlemen. But I think we'll leave it there. We'll leave it short today. I liked this very much, and I hope you did too, ladies and gentlemen, because once again, like I said, we're here to increase the quality of our lives through this kind of wisdom, the wisdom of the ages and the wisdom of the Tao. So then maybe we can not only have a better life ourselves, but increase the quality of the lives of the people around us and the world around us. So continue, ladies and gentlemen, to seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment. Continue to seek to discover the hidden wisdom of the ages, and begin to make happiness the way. Because when we can make happiness the way, what we bring to life, what it is as we're going along the journey, then the destination that we've so long been reaching, striving to get to, so then we'll finally be happy, will become irrelevant because we're already there. And then the whole journey becomes wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. That's my hope anyways. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone who spends their time here, and really I just appreciate and love everyone. And let's send that kind of energy out into the world. So once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back tomorrow with more wisdom of the ages and more wonderful wisdom that hopefully can make a change for the better in all of our lives. Be sure to expand the description below. Check the links. I also have my landscape paintings there, link to my Etsy shop, and I believe I got a link to C60 Purple Power, one of the great antioxidants. I've been using it for many years now, and it's fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Do-do-do-do.